to have a duo presentation, if I understand correctly. Francisco and Rodrigo are going to be presenting the work on understanding STAMP through daily life. And that's a nice bridge from the previous presentation, Daily Life at the Hotel Kendall. If any of you who were staying there, was full of power outage this morning. So showers were cold, breakfast was late. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about Daily Life. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.
So, first of all, it was a pleasure of mine being with you all here during this entire week. I return tomorrow to Brazil with plenty of happiness in my heart. And so, as you can see from the title of our work, we are interested in some ways to avoid some misconceptions about the deployment of the model STAMP and its corresponding techniques, in particular STPA. Just a brief agenda of our talk. We're going to start with a brief introduction in section 1. And on section 2, we are going to talk about our example, our proposed example, to avoid some misconceptions about the model and the technique respectively. On sections 3 and 4, we are delving into the details of the STPA process through steps 1 and 2. And finally, on section 5, we are going to have some discussions, some conclusions, and we hope to hear some feedback from you all in order to us to decide if we are going to continue with this example, extending this example or not. So, we acknowledge that the application of the STAMP/STPA is not an easy task. Even experienced professionals or practitioners have some difference employing the technique and the model. Maybe, perhaps one possible reason is that it requires a different way of thinking about systems and the complexity of the interaction among the components within the system. Interactions of control among components. So the main goal of our work is just that, to help analysts to better understand and apply the model and the techniques, and to get the most of its benefits. So we decided to illustrate initially these two figures, just to remind us that unfortunately, it's not uncommon that, maybe because we are always listening to the news, when some person is always guilty about some losses. And this is what we call the blame culture. And as we already know, we are more interested in a holistic view of accidents. And we are more interested in something like that. So we need to broaden our perspective of accidents. So we are more interested in something like systems thinking. So just a reminder, we have been here just 3 days now. And actually, we all know that accidents is a result of an acceptable loss and the result of a systems hazardous behavior in combination with worst sets of environment conditions. With that said, we would like just to remind you all that every social technical system has the same structures. It could be an aircraft, a nuclear power plant, a chemical plant, or our proposed system. All of these examples are comprised with the same structures. They have human controllers, automated controllers, and the controlled process. So we decide to work with a daily life example, and this is the reason that's our system. And we try to do that because we acknowledge that a lot of good jobs of literature do explicitly expose STAMP and STPA in some detail, but the problem with that is that the person who first faces the issue normally doesn't have the domain knowledge about the model and technique, and suffer from the obstacles, from transposing these obstacles and understanding the domain. So we decided to invent, if I can say like that, a simple example, daily life example, in order to avoid some misconceptions. Actually, the idea of this example was from my friend Francisco that is going to conduct the second half of this presentation. So, in our system, the family members are the human controllers, and the daily life activities are viewed as the controlled process. So, in our example, the family members and a cousin are the controllers in a system we call home. And we have one daughter, we decide to call her Luisa. So, after defining our system, we just need to remember that one of the first things we need to do is to define, to delimit the boundaries of our system. And since we live in society, this gave us a lot of possibilities to define our system and its corresponding boundaries. So we decided to study the family life inside their home in such a way that the boundaries are drawn at the physical limits of their house. One question that can arise is our system a house or is that a home? And actually, we decided to name it as home instead of house. And the reason is simple. Since one of the obstacles the first newcomers had is to differentiate between the physical structure from the control structure in the example. So our system is not a house, it's a home. In that way, we have human controllers, that is the family members, composed of father, mother, daughter, and a cousin, and the control process. In our case, the daily life activities related, for instance, to education, personal health, finance, nutrition, and so on. So this is the hierarchical control structure that we envision. Is a high level one. On the left, we can see the home constitution, the development hierarchical, and we have thought about the family being constituted, they get married, and they are under some laws, some civil rights. When the couple got married, some laws apply to them. And on the right side, you can see the operation structure from our simple and daily life example, with the blue box being our system under interest. We are interested in the blue box there, so we are going to zoom in that box and to show the control structure that we can see that. So the couple had children, and the children grow, and we need to control the daily life activities inside home. So first of all, we're zooming in the blue box, the home system, and the first refillment that we had was that these two boxes, the family members and the controlled process. And inside the family members box, we have father, mother, daughter, and cousin. And as a controlled process, we have, for instance, the cleanness of floor, furniture, location or arrangement, food quality, health of family members, condition of home objects, such clean, broken, something like that. And as we already know, all system has goals, and here is not different. And we, after some talk with Francisco and my advisor, Celso Hirata, we decided that our example would be constituted of these three goals. That is, Luisa's successful education, family members living healthy and harmonious, and family economically sound. And still in the fundamentals, not step one yet, just the fundamentals of the system engineering process, we discovered 5 accidents, as you can see, from A1 through A5, respectively, and A1 being Luisa fails to achieve success at school, A2 family bankruptcy, and A5 has damage to any equipment at home. The same way we continue in the process, we describe the hazards that could lead to the accidents. And we found 4 of them. Hazard 1 is messy housing. Hazard 2, children not doing well at school. Hazard 3, family only more than earns and hazard for unhealthy living conditions. To easier understand, I plotted on the upper right corner of the slide the accidents that the hazards can lead to. Here, we just made the first refinement of the hierarchical cultural structure. So we need, in order to continue the process, we need to detail a little bit more to build a complete hierarchical structure and detailed hierarchical structure, and identification of the responsibilities, mental maps, control actions, and algorithms for each controller. From now on, my friend Francisco will continue these discussions and present to you all the detailed safety control structures and some discussions, and he's going to delve into the details of the steps 1 and 2 respectively.
Well, thank you, everyone, and thank you, Nancy Levison, for this workshop and the whole MIT team. This wonderful workshop, and thank you very much for that. Actually, I would like to. I should go over the step 1 and 2. Everyone know how to do that already, so I just would like to say a few more words about. Actually, this example, we thought it would be something silly to make some example about that because everyone is talking about aviation, nuclear power plants, etc. But then, actually, it was so difficult to find the accidents here and the hazards, etc. Then we thought, wait a minute, this is not so simple thing, because actually a home is very complex, much more complex than many things we know. But then this was very useful in terms of, do you have this laser? Yeah, pointer, yes. Okay, thank you. Here, for example, actually, let me just talk a little bit more of the history of the example. It was, what we were talking about, it was not only us, there were more people discussing STPA, how to apply, etc. And then it said, oh, wait a minute, if you blame a pilot, you can blame the nurse, you blame the kid. What if a kid drops a glass and break it, and then it gets punished by the mother or father? Actually, another thing here, we thought about father, mother, etc., but just because they're people in the home, okay? So as a family, doesn't mean if I say the father punched the girl, doesn't mean that all the fathers, I'm not saying that, okay? Yeah. But what happens is, the same way the daughter is punished, is the pilot, is the nurse, is the doctor, or everyone that's the last person that have contact with the accident, right? So, and then, when I said that, some people start saying the system should be, here the daughter, should be, what's the system? What's the system? How we can start the study? Actually, it's not, if you speak very precise, there should be a CAST instead of STPA, but it's not important here at this moment because everything is based on the stamp, right? So, but it was so difficult to actually find the system, to define the control process. What's the control process? What are the variables we have to choose in order to represent the state of the system? And why we are adding the father and the mother? Why there is a cousin here? So everything, it was not easy to find the responsibilities for the mother, for the father, the cousin, and the daughter. And why does she has a name here? It's not all daughters. This is special. It's one person, especially one controller from your system, right? So Actually, it became very interesting, this, and how to define the hierarchical control system here. So actually, this example was not so trivial as may seem at first sight. So then we started studying those things in terms of hierarchical control, and we finally agreed that we should go to define the home like that. And for the control process here, some variables in the state of the system, for example, we decided not important, like for example, the style of the furniture, which is something important, but not for this case. So when we are framing your work, your study, it's not always so simple to find those things. So it helped a lot to not exactly to teach how to build the tables for step 1 and 2, but how to frame the work first, how to ask the question. Because then all of a sudden it's not about a glass that was broken, because it was about how to ask the question. And Colonel William Young said in his tutorial about the iPhone 6, he said, I want an iPhone 6 here. So that's exactly the problem. How to ask the right question. So this example was very useful at the end of the exercise. So it's not yet finished, because we have to do a lot of things here. So let's move on here. Oops, what did I do? Huh? That one. Okay. All right. So we build normally things like responsibilities, and then we make algorithm, mental maps, etc. But for each one of these bugs here, what a huge discussions. Not because what happens also even when to talk about any domain, an expert in aeronautics, etc., is talking about his expertise, etc. So we don't always ask questions. We don't always don't agree with them. Say no, I don't agree with what we are doing, because they are experts on that. So, but here everyone has some experience in their house, in their homes, right? So we had very nice discussions. What should be the responsibilities? What should be for the mother, for the father? We for example, here, food preparation. No, this is not why a woman would do that. Why not the father? Some things like that. So it gave freedom to discussion. That was very interesting. I was not expecting so much warm discussion, and actually it helped us to learn how the process of STPA application is not exactly how to build the tables, because actually if you apply STPA to STPA application, we found that normally people tend to take shortcuts, like then one of the things people stop thinking about, I don't know why, is how to build the problem, how to frame the work, and jump directly to the building to the field tables, step 1 and step 2, like that. So maybe it's a hazard for the STPA application, for your results. So it was not nice for them. Then, of course, we don't have to agree clearly with these things here, although you see, depends on the hierarchical level of the controllers, the responsibilities are different. For example, if we make sure the children have proper nutrition, it's something long term, right? So it's different from the responsibility for the girl, for the daughter. Again, I cannot. Oh.
Let's do that.
Oh, okay. Here, for example, his responsibilities are different, right? So it depends on the level of the hierarchical position itself, right? So, I hate it. Wait. Okay. in wizard, same thing because of the position here, etc. So these things you can read on the slides if you. I think it's not important here. At least for this talk, I mean. Yes, so this kind of control actions, etc. So let's go to the. Yes. Then I think it's better if I explain the example a little bit why instead of keep reading there. I don't like to read things like. What happens here is that this daughter, this girl, she had how we set up the problem. What's that? She was told by, we were discussing this about the glass, etc. Somebody, many people say, no, you should tell the girl that she should pay attention to the furniture position, etc. Then she must always look what's going on. But then we add this cousin, the cousin who is visiting the house. So that's the story, a small story. Cut to the chase. So this cousin is visiting the house. He knows that he must keep everything the way he found. So the girl was told that it's cold weather and the floor is cold, and she has always to wear slippers when she walks on through the house. But otherwise she should run. She should pass quickly over to go to the kitchen because she was having some milkshake at the living room, and she cannot leave the things out of place. So she had to run because she was not wearing the slippers. And the cousin also was in the kitchen at the same moment, but then he inadvertently she moved the table, and he knew he should put the table back at the same place it was. But for him, his mental map, the right position was not exactly the right position that the father and the mother would like it to be, and the girl was used to be. So, and the kitchen, the lights were off, and she could not see anything. She believed that the table was in the right place, etc. So she hit the table, broke the glass, etc. So that's the story, okay? We could do a cast, as I said, we could cast for STPA, but we decided for STPA because it's fun. We could do the whole process, and then this would be one of the causes when you finally do this step 2, you find these things. So that's the story what happened. So then we set up these goals of the system, the accident, the hazards, and how the hazard could lead to the accident. We could consider the glass, what damage to the equipment, for example, or member of the family could get injured. Actually, as I said, this is an exercise. So accident 3 and 4 maybe could be put together because this is part of the process of discussion we usually have, right? So that's why we kept separate them. Some people would say, oh, we could keep those at the same. Okay, but then it helps the discussions. So we have the hazard. Okay, so next we have to give prioritization for that. We chose member of the family health and living healthy and unharmed. So damage to the equipment could lead to this. Already? Okay, sorry. And then hazard. But the rest is, you know, you just have to fill out the tables, etc. But the message, the main message here was that if you don't get right from the beginning, your results may not be as useful as could be. Okay? And just go with conclusions. Here's the step 1, step 2. Everybody knows how to do that. It's not necessary. What happens is that's a house, a home, and then is a system with multiple controllers, common variables. You have to decide priorities to access the variables. You have to choose the right variable to define the state of the system, etc. This is things related to the blame culture, etc. And it's related also to safety culture, of course, because you can somehow here, we don't have time to talk about it now, but somehow we can corrupt this control structure because of some things that, right? So that's it. And now, only the next thing discuss it about the emergent properties, which was important here. We never can forget about these things. That's the message. Thanks so much.
Okay, that was an interesting view, and I liked what you said about applying STAMP to teach STAMP. And I think that's something that we talked about earlier in the week, for how are we going to communicate all the benefits of this impressive methodology to people who are not maybe accepting them. Lorena showed one way of doing that, adapting the terminology, but this is another impressive approach to doing that. Have you actually used this model already to communicate it to people who are not familiar with STAMP?
Yes, yes.
That's to use the muscle.
Yes, we see that at the ITA, Aeronautical Institute of Technology, yes. And that's how it became a paper and a presentation, because as I said, people were talking about the accidents, the pilots say such and such a thing happened, etc., etc., but everybody was mute, nobody was saying anything about that. But then all of a sudden, when this example appears, everybody was like, it took us like 8 months to finish this, to decide what would be the accident, what would be the goals of the system, etc. So the process of application of STPA was the most important thing, and how to frame, how to make the right question. And also, just a parenthesis, I applied to my life because I was told to bring an iPhone 6. I was astonished when Colonel William Young said about that, because I was told, bring an iPhone 6. I said, why? Then I can, using the systems, you can show the person, this is not the right question, maybe you need something else. And it was very relaxed, very good.
I think Svana has another question.
Yes, it was quite almost amusing presentation. I wanted to ask you, just because you showed the model of the family, the daughter and the cousin. There was no connection between the daughter and the cousin, and there was no connection between the parents.
Yes.
Was that on purpose?
Yeah, that's right. That's what on purpose. That's on purpose. That's because we did not have time to finish everything. But what happens is that so many people were trying to blame the daughter. We cannot imagine this. And then there was some problem communication here. That's why we did this. That's why on purpose. Yes, to show that how to frame the work again, how to frame the question, and then how you can find gaps in your system based on that. That's yes.
Okay, another order is lining up for you. Yes.
Oh,
go.
I had the same question, but I've got a comment as well. It was just a suggestion. I think it's sort of with a few animations in it, might make for a great YouTube video.
Thank you for the presentation. My quick question is related to a talk we had earlier in the week on robust and flexible systems, those that adapt their methods to achieve their goals over time, and those that adapt their goals over time. That seems like this would be the start of an example of how to use STAMP to address those kinds of concerns in a system. You mentioned the difficulty with defining the goals. That's because goals change all the time.
Yeah,
Did you put any thought to that?
Yeah, and also for the safety, we say something about that is safety of the children, like in cyber, internet, those things, and also for example, if at this house you build a swimming pool, how the system will change. So actually there are a lot of things here, and we can explore more. And thank you.
And based on your feedback, we're thinking about continuing developing this system. And one thing that we'd like to discuss is this means that the system migrates towards a state of higher risk and maybe building a swimming pool, and how this would affect the system, because we saw that, for instance, children drowning is one of the most, unfortunately, accidents here in the United States. So we need feedback to see if you must continue with this example, but I think there are a lot of things we can do from now on.
Okay, excellent. I'm sure there's a lot of people who want to join Rodrigo and Francisco's family. They can sign up for the break. The rest of us will reconvene at 5:30.